Hi and welcome to Take Time to Create. My name is Linda and this is where we take time out of our everyday lives to create new and wonderful things. I'm always encouraging everybody to take time to create, and this is just one place we can do it. Today we're going to do a junk journal and I'm going to show you how I make mine. There's about 4,000 other videos on junk journals out on YouTube and they're wonderful, and I've spent way too much time of my life watching all these junk journals. They're just so fantastic. But this is my version of a junk journal and how I use it and what I do with it and all those great things. So let's get to it. So here's the junk journal that we're going to make. This is just one I made a while ago, and I'm going to show you how I make my junk journal. And everybody makes them a little different. There's about 1,000 tutorials online. This is just the way I do mine. I'm going to make a smaller one just for example's sake, but let me show you really quickly what I have in here. The cover is an old pattern. Let me flip it. It's an old pattern, and I just stick everything in here. What I use my junk journals for is testing art supplies, putting those random little things you make somewhere. So that's what I do with it. You know, I've got game pieces and, you know, transparencies. I have, you know, here's an example I was practicing with. I think these were with the oil pastels from Prima, and I just wanted to see how they worked and reacted with different papers. So that's just the whole thing. If I have little ephemera or little embellishments, I stick them on here. Sometimes I stick some washi tape on there. So yeah, I've got some little fabric pieces, whatever you want to put in here. Now, if you want to just, I've got an old map here. If you want to just load it up with nothing really, I mean, just load it up with just, you know, papers and stuff and then not use it, just be done because it's favorite papers, it's favorite things to experiment with, go for it. If you want to put photographs in it, go for it. Like I said, I use mine mostly for testing out products. I scribble on them or I draw on them, and then I just use up scraps from projects. I'm like, oh, I'm not done, or I'm all done with this project. I've got a tiny scrap, I'll stick it in here. And that's what I do, and it is pretty fun. Yeah, so that is my junk journal and the way I do it and how I use it, and anything that you want to do and how you want to use it is absolutely correct. For instance, I was at a Stampin' Up! Demo party, and we used their, what is it called, brush show maybe? Anyway, so I made this little pretty rose here, and I didn't know what to do with it, so plunk right here in my junk journal, and I love it. That way I can see it and I can enjoy it. But so let me show you what I do, how I do it, and then you can make your own junk journals, and yeah, it's really fun. First thing you're gonna need is a pattern. And I've got two patterns here. They're older patterns, and I like this one. Not necessarily, I like the cover better on this one, but what I like about this one is what you're looking for is a pattern that is intact. The outside. The inside doesn't really matter. Oh, it looks like this is brand new. Never been used. Great. So I'm looking for a pattern that's got, it's not ripped, and it's looking like the paper is still pretty strong. So then what I'm going to do is just cut. Now you can get your cutter out for this. I honestly don't worry too much about it. It's a junk journal. So just cut around your sides just like this. A lot of times what I like to do is tape the binding. I have this washi tape. I got it from the Dollar Tree, and it's thicker and it's black and white. I don't know if you're supposed to be able to color it. I have no idea. So what I do is I try to find the end, peel it off. So I start it, I peel it off, and then I just kind of roll it down the center of the spine, especially the front cover. And there will be papers, if you use some really old papers, that may need to have the spine a little short up. So I'm going to do this on both sides for this one. I try not to make mine too thick. The other one, it's got a little too much in there. I was just so excited, and I just kept putting everything in there. So now we want to fold it in half. I have a bone folder that I like to crease my edges with. Now I do have my cutter that I will use for some of this. So for instance, I'm going to take some of the instructions they fit right in there. And I don't worry too much if things are different sizes. Let me grab my sample. I am completely okay with different sizes, different shapes. I mean, this has kind of a really cool edge here. Whatever you want to stick in here, I have a doily, which is really fun, and I think I have a crocheted, no, just a regular doily. But I just have little fabric pieces in here too. So lots of things you can stick in there. Don't be afraid to stick things in there, but I'm just going to show you how I do this real quick. And I'm actually going to, this is all folded up like this, and I'm going to, okay, I'm going to take this one like this. Oops, I ripped it, and that's okay too. As long as you don't rip the spine, that's fine. Okay, so we have one. I have an old children's book. And all I'm doing is just folding them in half and sticking them in here, just like this. You can play with the order. I have no idea what this is from, but it's really pretty. So we're gonna fold it in half, stick it in there. I have music sheets. It's a little long, this music sheet. So if it's a little long on the edges, you can get your cutter out, like I have my cutter out, or you can just trim it, and that's what I'm going to do. Just kind of trim it, see what happens. To me, a junk journal isn't about being perfect. It's just about sticking really cool papers and ephemera and other things that you really like into a book so you can access it. This is really pretty paper. I did a project and I have this little bit of leftover paper, and I don't think I'm going to use it for much. So I'm going to fold it in half. It's really, really pretty. It is, I have no idea that I cut the name off. Well, that's okay. And then we've got this little edge here that I'll cut off. It's a little long here, so we're going to cut off a little bit. Perfect. And I have one of these little, kind of like a transparency. It's a annual report. So these are always fun to add a really cool little texture in there. So I'll just fold it. This one needs a bone folder. You want to really crease down that edge. It'll really help when you stitch it together. Okay, stick that in there. I have an old flashcard. We'll just fold it in half and stick it in there. Let's see here. We'll add little details later. Here's a little postcard. It's an old one. There's no writing on it. Oh, it kind of broke. It was too old to fold in half, so we'll save that and tape it down later. This is an old Grocer's Want book. It's really cool. So we'll just take one of these sheets like this. And this is a really good example of taking some washi tape, and I'm going to take it on this side and shoring up that edge. Let me move this. I've had my stash. It was, by the time I got it, it was already a little taken apart. Other people had partaken in it and enjoyed it. Now it's my turn to enjoy it for a while before I pass it on to the next people. And I'll cut off the edges. There we go. There we go. That strengthens that up. Makes it stronger. I think I'm going to do it on the inside too. Just this old paper is so brittle. Okay. Get my bone folder. All right, so you get the idea. You get the idea of how much you can put in here, what you can put in here, all of the little ideas and all that great stuff. So I'm going to organize it just like this, get everything all squared away. Now what we're going to do is stitch the binding before we add any other details on the inside. And this is just a small sampling of things to add. You can add so much. Now for the middle one, I wouldn't leave this really delicate paper here. I'm actually going to move and have the music sheet in the middle, just because I don't think this could handle being in the middle. So rearrange your papers how you like it, and then we'll get ready to stitch it. So let me get my my stitching stuff out and I'll be right back. All right, so we're ready to stitch now, and I have an awl, which is a really sharp punch, so be very careful with this. You can see it. You don't want to injure yourself. For this one, I don't think you can see it, I actually used staples. I have a long stapler that you can reach in and staple. I think it turned out okay, but I don't love it as much as stitching the book with actual cord. I'm going to use waxed cotton. I prefer this to any leather cording, so this is just waxed cotton. It'll work great. And this one's a new one. Any color will work. I kind of like this off-white yellowy color. It's kind of cool. Kind of goes with the old junk journal look. And I am not an expert sewer. I just want to get this done. There are other ways to bind a book, and there are 1,000 YouTube tutorials that may be better than mine. But you know what? This works for me. This is what I like. So I figure that's perfect. All right, so the problem is that when you have so many different sizes in here, you can't really get a binder clip in there to keep things together. Oh, my owl's swimming around. Now, I am going to put a binder clip on just to kind of get some stuff going, but it's going to miss stuff. And that's just the way it goes when you have so many different sizes. Yes, you can measure. Yes, you can go and say, I'm going to do it like this. I don't. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, you know that I never measure anything. I just kind of go. So I'm going to punch my awl through. I am going to get my mat here because I'm going to end up stabbing my table, my work surface. So I'm just going to kind of make a little bit here. I'm just going to kind of space them out a little bit. Like I said, I don't measure, but if you want to measure, if it's important to you to have everything evenly spaced, go for it. Get out your ruler and measure, and I love that. I love it when people are super duper precise. It's such a cool thing, but some of us are not precise. That's okay too. And you can't see it at all. So I have them all spaced out here. And what I'm going to do is grab a needle. It's a thicker needle. And I'm going to thread my waxed cotton on. So we go in through the middle. All right, I'm not worrying about tying a knot because I'm gonna do that all at the end. So I have a long string here in the middle. You see how we have this? So I went from the bottom. I'm on the inside because I'm gonna tie a knot on the inside here. And I thread it, I went all the way up. Then I'm gonna go over here to this one. And I'm going to stitch down. Come along. Gotta make sure your holes are big enough. There we go. If you want to make sure that your tail here doesn't move, you could get some washi tape and tape it down, but if you're careful, it should be just fine. And you can see I have one little stitch. Then on the inside here, I'm going to stitch. And I'm just gonna keep on doing this. Well, let me show you what happens when you go back. Because what you want to do is cover up the other side. So, okay, so I'm on this side. I went in. I think my string's too long, but that's okay. Now I finished going back and forth on this side. So now I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to stitch in here. So what that does is now I have a solid stitch. I'm going in that exact same hole that I went up from earlier. So now I have one solid line. Oh, I've got some twisting. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to go in and I'm going to make it one solid line. I'm going to keep doing this all the way down to this side. I'm going to go down and then I'll come back and I'll meet in the middle and I will tie this. So I will come back when I'm ready to tie it. So I've gone up and down, in and out, over and under, whatever you want to call it. I have stitched it. So now I'm going to tie this in a knot. Just like that, and then there we go. It's all stitched together. Now it's going to be a little puffy because we've got a lot going on and we're going to add more. So now that we're all stitched up, let's add some ephemera and other really cool details in this little junk journal. And yes, I'm loving this. This is so cute. So yeah, let's keep adding more. Oh, see, this didn't even get added in there. It just slid. That is the problem with when you have these little guys, because it wasn't attached with a binder clip and it was just so slippery. It just slipped right down, but that's okay. It didn't get added. No problem. We're just gonna add it later. Cool. All right, let's add other details. All right, so now that it is all done with the binding, so I'm just gonna show you a little bit of what I do. I mean, you kind of get the idea. I don't need to keep putting things on here. But for instance, like this little piece that didn't fit in there, didn't go, I'm just going to take a little bit of hot glue. And I usually use hot glue, and that's just because it's faster. If you want to use gel mediums or, you know, double sticky tape, great. That works too. Go for it. Use whatever. You know how I feel about that. Just use what you have. Let's see here. This is that postcard that kind of broke in the middle. That didn't work very well. So I think I'm going to put it right here. Go sideways, go front to back, go up and down. It really doesn't matter. This is up to you. This is your junk journal. So just stick things down if it means something to you. So what you can do also is, you know, put the papers together and then put tickets in there or a vacation. You know, say, oh, we went to you know, Disneyland, and you could do a Disney junk journal, which is really cool because you can use their maps for the pages, and that looks so cool. And then, you know, whatever else you get, I wouldn't always use only maps. That's just because there are a lot going on with maps, so you might want to find some other plain paper, but you can do so many things with your junk journal. Or if you go, you know, traveling somewhere, maps are always a great idea. Or if you have an event like a family reunion, you know, you can put together some really cool old papers, find old books, and have everybody write a special memory in your junk journal for your family reunion. So the options and the ideas are endless. So you get the idea. Ribbon, washi tape, you know, this is a Monopoly card, whatever you want, just stick it in your junk journal. And how I finish it out, I take some ribbon, and what I want to do is I want to tie it. Now you could do an elastic cord, which always works as well, but for me, I want to do some ribbon. All right. And what I'm going to do is kind of make it halfway, just like this. And I'm going to put a little dab of glue right here on the spine. And I'm going to kind of go down both sides just a little bit so that it kind of grabs it. Don't burn yourself. Hot glue is hot. I'll just kind of, there we go. And once it's all adhered, Then you can take the ribbon and tie it. And this will help keep it closed. You can use any type of ribbon. If it came from a vacation, maybe, you know, something pretty, a package that you bought. Whatever you want, it's perfect. So this is my version of a junk journal. There we go. It's all done. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you know when I post new videos. I have 2 Instagrams you can follow me on, and one is Take Time to Create, all my crafty goodies, Linda's Journey 78, which is everything else, family, vacations, everything else you can imagine. I also have another YouTube channel, Linda's Journey 78. I would love for you to follow along or even check it out. That would be great. I have a Facebook and a blog for Take Time to Create as well. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next time.